And a good Wednesday evening, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, bringing you up to speed on the severe weather threat for your Thursday. Thank you for joining us on 10 TV Plus this evening. We're going to keep this relatively brief, and we'll certainly try, as we have been doing in the past, to answer your questions. So if you see that phone number at the bottom of the screen, that's 614-460-3345, you can text us your question. And I have a feeling I know what many of those questions are going to be. When is it going to be worst? What are the threats? When is it going to hit X town or fill in the blank where I live? And we'll try to answer a few of those, but just painting with a broad brush first, and then we'll narrow down to a few of the details. So again, in the next 10 or 15 minutes, feel free to text your questions or your concerns to that number, and I will be monitoring those in real time. The main thing we're looking at is an opportunity tomorrow for some showers and thunderstorms to develop. Now that is really Thursday, painting with, as I said, a pretty wide range of times, midnight till about 10 p.m. Possibility of strong storms. Be ready. And we mentioned that before, especially going back 2 days ago, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and again today, that the impact of strong storms is still focusing on your need to be ready. You need to be able to have more than one way to get this severe weather information. Of course, you're watching us now on 10 TV Plus, the 10 TV mobile app, National Weather Service Radio, #1 way to get your weather information. And they're less than $20-25 at any big box store, maybe online. So looking at the radar scan right now, we're dry. Further off to the southwest, a hint of what might be coming. Now, this is just some scattered thunderstorms south of Cincinnati. And to put this into perspective, we're looking at dry conditions all the way between Columbus and then back down toward that area. Anything that might move in tonight should weaken with time. Cannot rule out, as you'll see in a moment, an isolated shower or storm. As we look further off to the west, though, you can kind of connect those dots of those thunderstorms, and that's right along a warm front that's coming through. Today wasn't bad. It was in the 70s. Tomorrow will be around 80, if not better, as that warm front lifts through. Overnight, before sunrise tomorrow morning, we could capture a few of those showers and storms. Heavy rain, lightning, thunder, some small hail, not out of the question, but that will be moving. It's not going to sit in one place. As we expand this perspective further still, there's a lot of active weather across the eastern half of the country. That's just one small little pocket that we showed you. A huge complex in thunderstorms, St. Louis, Memphis, all the way down to northwest Arkansas. Further back to the west, unsettled weather in Kansas, Nebraska, and then coming off the Rocky Mountains. So we're not alone in the severe weather potential, although I do think as we go through tonight and tomorrow, we'll be able to fine-tune that forecast just a little bit. One of the things we're watching is that level, the threat. 1 out of 5 is possible, 2 out of 5 is scattered. Yesterday, we were numerous in terms of the severe thunderstorm potential. That would be a 3 out of 5. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're back down to a 2. Now, that might just be a number to you, but what it basically is telling us is that while some of the ingredients are there for strong storms, we're trying to fine-tune that window and narrow that down as much as possible. The threats from this event, and no two events are the same, threats from this particular event appear to be low in the tornado and hail and flooding category and medium in the wind. So this type of setup in the afternoon and evening looks like it is building toward the wind threat, wind gusts from those thunderstorms being the biggest potential danger. Now, starting tomorrow morning, as I said, we'll watch that warm front lift, a smattering of some showers and maybe a storm. That's 4, 5, 6 o'clock around sunrise tomorrow morning. Watch that area lift off toward the northeast. Then we get to what we call the warm sector. That's where we have windy conditions out of the south, warm and humid weather, 80 or better. And this is by noon to about 2 o'clock. Watch what happens after that, though. This line begins to form and move in from the west. Generally speaking, any pockets here could be some downpours and gusty winds, but focusing on the areas a bit more specific that are yellow and orange. We're looking at that around Columbus, London, back down toward Washington Courthouse and Pickaway County. That is 3:30 in the afternoon. Moving ahead to 4:30, that area moves to the east. Newark, Mount Vernon, Mount Gilead, over towards Zanesville and Coshocton, and then south on 23 toward Chillicothe and Piketon. By 5 to 6 o'clock, that line continues to move to the east, and it's a bit encouraging that there's not a lot of development behind that. Now, when you join us tonight at 11 o'clock, we'll have a whole nother suite of model data to review between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and I will bring you the latest information in a couple of hours. That might change a little bit, but if this trend continues, we'll hopefully be able to peel back the back end or pull it forward a little bit rather than 10 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock for that window of strong to severe storms. Now, looking further ahead, and then we'll go back to your questions in a moment. This is a nice looking graph and then it's going down. Unfortunately, it looks like this frontal system will be in a meandering and kind of wiggling across central Ohio for the next 5 days. That means we'll have the greatest threat of thunderstorms tomorrow. Friday, not out of the question. Even a thunderstorm possible on Saturday, although that threat diminishes with time. A big day on Sunday, a commencement at Ohio State at the Shoe. Plan on a couple of showers there. Should not be a washout, but at least it's not going to be blazing sunshine and 90 degrees. And that trend continues to be low, not zero, but low heading into Monday and Tuesday. So I'm going to head back to the Weather Center and take a look at some of those questions for you, or we should be getting in right now. And hopefully there's a little bit of feedback coming back in. Refresh this menu just a bit and put something a little more meaningful on the screen behind me. Let's see here. I'm going to time this out for you and go back to this map, so bear with me just a second. Looking at expecting a lot of lightning and thunder. Yeah, that would be the case with those storms. And that would, with any thunderstorm, of course, there would be some lightning and some thunder. Kind of refresh this again, see if we can get something a little more up to date here. So bear with me for a second. Let's go to the chats. All users, me, all right. Right, so experiencing technical difficulty. Please stand by just a second. When will that possibly? All right. So that's a different thread there, so give me a second. All right, so take a look at the map then behind me for a moment. You see the radar scan, current radar scan is fine. When are these storms moving in and what can you expect for Franklin County? Looking around 7:30 in the morning. That's the case with a little bit of a cell moving through. Again, it's ahead of the warm front. And this time between 7:30 and about 10:30 to 11 o'clock in the morning to about noon, all this is warm and humid air, and that's just building ahead of those storms. Then this line begins to move back in. 2 o'clock around Bucyrus and Marion. Break it down a little further still around 3 o'clock, Marysville, London, Washington Courthouse. And then that moves to the east very quickly. 4 or 5 o'clock, kind of like timing of yesterday's line before rush hour, but unfortunately around the time that school's letting out, kids are getting on the bus, might be waiting for one of those kids at the bus stop. That could be a little bit dicey. That's 4 o'clock. Delaware, Mount Gilead, Columbus, down toward Circleville and Chillicothe. East at about 5 o'clock, now Mount Vernon, Chillicothe, and Piketon. And then MacArthur and Logan and Athens as that line moves through about 6:30 p.m. So again, we're just giving a little bit of an update here for some information about the severe weather threat for tomorrow. We do have a 10 weather impact alert day for your Thursday. And the painting, looking at the big picture items for tomorrow, we've got a warm front coming through overnight. That will cause a couple of showers and maybe a rumble of thunder before sunrise tomorrow. Once we get past that, we're looking at that main window between about noon and 10 o'clock. Hopefully we'll begin to slim that down a little bit, and we'll have that update for you at 11 o'clock tonight on 10 TV. Once we get past that, then we're looking at this threat for some isolated strong to severe thunderstorms in the second half of the day and into the night. And then we'll watch a continuation of the unsettled weather, unfortunately, heading into the weekend. So keep that in mind as you're making your plans for the weekend. Not going to be a total washout. It looks like the chance of showers and storms decreases as we go through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but it doesn't go all the way to zero. So of those weekend days, Sunday's looking a little bit better than Saturday, a little better than Friday, but again, not something quite as nice as we had just a couple of days ago on that Sunday. So going back to the line here, that's 614-460-3345, and that's what we're looking at for getting some of those questions into 10 TV. I'm not seeing a whole lot of new ones here this evening, and perhaps I'm doing something wrong. It's not out of the question, but I think we're looking at just trying to get this thing ramped up and get some interaction here. Not a lot of lightning. Asking about Pike County. I can move this just a bit here, so bear with me. All right. Again, we're looking at the possibilities you see on the screen behind me and just kind of breaking in a little bit on 10 TV Plus to give you some inside baseball if you have the opportunity to dial in or at least text a message to that number. 10 weather impact alert for tomorrow to 12 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Strong storms are possible. Be ready and be prepared as we go into the second half of the afternoon and the evening, as the chance will be there for some of the stronger thunderstorms. We are going to have an update for you at 11 o'clock tonight on 10 TV. I'm not seeing a ton of questions in there, and at the risk of going on and repeating myself, we're just going to kind of gracefully scale back on this 10 TV Plus initiative this evening. But again, I encourage you to join us at 11 o'clock because in the next 2 hours, I have a whole bunch of new information coming back in. It should make things a little bit clearer since we're within 24 hours. So keep that in mind. I will be checking back on this chat or on our Facebook, 10 TV Facebook page to see if there's any other communications there. You can always email me as well at jerry.martz@10tv.com, and I'll try and get to your questions too. So thanks again for dropping in for a short while on this Wednesday evening. We hope to see you again at 11 o'clock tonight, and that's a quick look at the 10 Weather Impact Alert Day for tomorrow.